Georgia State! Georgia State!
Sitting here again talking about the same things.
Well, jam-packed show for you guys tonight. Now, if your baseball team is absolutely terrible like all of ours are, then you know exactly why you're here, because we are less than 100 days until the start of the college football season. It is inching closer. And so today we're going to go over all of the Big Ten teams and their schedule so that we can get all of our Power 4 previews done. But anyway, welcome everybody to the FBS Report. And Red has got some FBS to show you guys tonight. Red, tell us what that stands for while you're at it.
I'm pretty sure that's motor oil. That doesn't look good. FBS means the same thing that it's going to be going to my fucking wallet, and apparently is the state of my car. Fucking bullshit!
Yeah, that is
that one. That was good. But you know what's not fucking bullshit, Squid? Two things. One, hey, the sign.
Yeah, hey, money does talk and bullshit doesn't.
Money talks! Bullshit walks. Metal. Had it custom made on Amazon, actually, for like $10. Pretty cheap. And you know what else is not bullshit?
What's that?
The reason why I'm not wearing sleeves tonight, it's not to show off these guns. Mo would get jealous. It's because... wham!
Boy, doesn't that look smexier or what, you guys?
Yes, sir, indeed. I had about 5 hours sunk into this fucking thing on Friday in Columbus at Memento Tattoo Shop just off of Grandview Avenue. There and just outside of downtown. If you ever played Assassin's Creed 3 before, you know who this is.
Yeah,
it's
you'll
Connor.
recognize that, yeah.
It's the start of a shoulder sleeve, actually, and it's realism. That's the piece there. So it's we only got about 5 hours in, so you can see out some of the details that we couldn't get all done. There's like the eagle there and some other bullshit. But yeah, no, this is the start of a new sleeve I'm working on, and that's the way it is. So
it's beautiful.
Not all fucking bullshit.
No, it's not everything.
Not all fucking bullshit.
Not everything is fucking bullshit. Not everything. A lot of things.
No.
A lot of things are fucking bullshit, but not everything.
Yes.
While you're showing that off, I did want to take a moment to show a little funny I made real fast.
Oh yeah.
By popular demand today, I managed to make a little bit more merchandise for the channel. Ironically enough, both of us happened to make some merch today.
Yes, sir.
Some new merch to add on to the collection.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to present that to the class before we continue, because we got a lot to go over today.
And yeah, we are a wee bit busy today.
Yeah, we are jam-packed with tonight's show. Can I even show it? Oh, whatever. I'll just screen share it. It won't let me actually post it. I'll just show it straight from the store.
All right. Well, I'm going to show off my merch too, just because we got a shill.
Yeah, of course. We'll get plenty of time to do that tonight. But yeah, no, here you go, guys. Available now on the Squidtard store. Glory BV to the talent fee. And it's a very good time for that because, well, both of my baseball teams, though the baseball and the softball team, both of them stunk it up this previous week. So, I mean, at least the softball team made it all the way to the Final Four of the World Series. So
yeah, I mean that's pretty good.
They had a really good run. Just sucked that it
on the
ended
ladies.
the way it did. Yeah. Just sucks that it ended the way it did. But yeah, This shirt, Glory BD to the Talent Feed, now available on the Squidtard store if you guys are interested in purchasing that.
Yes, sir. And like he mentioned, we didn't coordinate this, by the way. Genuinely, we did not coordinate this shit at all. But we finally have a shirt on the Red5478 shop that does not care what it says because money talks! Bullshit walks. Get the new MTBW shirt for this year. You can get it sleeveless or you can get it with sleeves. for $18. On sale now at Red5478.4th wall. And the link is obviously in my channel. And yada yada, you know the drill. Not bad. Shout out to Zepp for the design, by the way, of the Skull Hio. It works really well on the t-shirt, not going to lie.
It's very beautiful. Very, very beautiful indeed.
Very beautiful in a proud divorced dad kind of way.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna say that, but
yeah,
damn, that's crazy. All right, well, before we continue on with our topics of the day, we got some super chats coming in. Gotis with the 2 says, "Here's money to help out with your car." There you go. That's a start for you, Red.
Thanks, Gotis. Appreciate the $2. It's gonna pay for like half a second of service. I go up to the guy at Firestone and be like, "Hey, I got $2. What'll this get you?" That's about it.
That's gonna get you something. $2 less you got to spend for that. So yeah.
And Zepp, by the way, listen, I meant that in a loving way. I told you earlier what I really feel about the design. Thank you very much for the Skull Hio.
Nice. Sharpshooter James, been a member for 6 months, says, "Hey, Red, you doing the rest of the Kenways?"
No, because fuck Hatham. Number one, fuck him. He's a goddamn evil bastard. Never loved Connor. Fucking fucked a native and left. in the middle of the night. Didn't even provide child support. Didn't even know he existed that much. And Edward, Edward's fine, but honestly, if I would get another guy from Assassin's Creed, it'd be Ezio. Because he's the GOAT. Everybody agrees, everyone agrees Ezio is the GOAT.
Yeah, very well said. Gotis with the 2 says, "Forced to give money to Squid because money talks.
Money talks, bullshit walks. It's a clever way to get out of the character limit there, Gotis. Nice job.
Very well done. All right, well, we got a lot to go over today, so I'm going to start out with this. So we have been waiting for this to happen. We knew it was going to happen eventually, but it appears that a loophole has finally been discovered within the new rules of the transfer portal.
You mean you got a girlfriend?
What? What is that? No, I don't even get that one. What does that even mean?
It was good until you said transfer portal, but I ran with it anyway. Go on, Squid. I'm sorry. That was mistimed.
Failure to launch just like your team in the playoffs. All right. So anyway, loophole. Yeah, loophole has been discovered in the transfer portal, and who else but Teron Dickens from North Carolina to find it out? He was committed to North Carolina, through the transfer portal, but did not officially sign with the Tar Heels. Well, 3 days ago, he decided that he no longer wanted to be there, so he decommitted, which means that he entered the transfer portal. So now he's back in the portal, his destination complete unknown. People are speculating it's going to somehow be Texas Tech, but we can't really say that for sure. But what we do know is that some sort of loophole has been discovered, and I would expect that there's going to be a lot of people taking advantage of that in due time. What do you think?
Yeah, at least for about the next couple of months before the NCAA finds a way to close it somehow. With if you play one sport, you can't transfer schools to play in another with another transfer window or something. Like if you transfer in a certain sports window, you got to play that sport or whatever the fuck. I don't know. It's silly. I love it that we're at this point where we're just doing this silly bullshit with the transfer portal. Like, oh, so you're going to stop me? Watch this, fucker. I'm on the track team now. And now I'm not.
Yeah, I'm anywhere you want me to be, basically. That's where he's at. How that's going to show up once he gets to his new school, I have no idea. Is he going to play for their track team too? Nobody knows. But
I guess in order for it to still be valid, he would have to run like a season with track, which it doesn't conflict with football. So that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, the rules are so chaotic as they are, which we're going to find out in just a minute. Because don't worry, the dipshit saga is far from over. We get to talk about. Actually, let's talk about that right now. So here's your latest in the dipshit saga. In other words, Brendan Sorsby still trying to fight his case, even though it's been confirmed by him as well as everybody else that he was gambling on his own team. It is a fully established rule, and pretty much the only one the NCAA consistently actually cracks down on. Well, still trying to fight his case. He went through with a 2-hour-long hearing today, and a decision a finalized decision by the NCAA is expected sometime in the near future. They're expecting a ruling before June 15th, as asked by Sorsby's attorneys. So we should expect the Sorsby saga, the dipshit saga, as I call it, to finally be over within the next 2 weeks. Now, and the expectation,
he's feeling a little Sorsby.
Yeah, the expectation. First of all, the expectation is greater than the appreciation. Thank you, Dabo Sweeney. But the expectation is that nothing's going to come of this. Sorsby is still going to be right where he was at the start and where he should be, which is never playing a down of football or any sort of sport ever again, because he did the golden thing you cannot do as a college athlete, which is gamble on your own team or gamble in general. It is a fully established rule. And again, the only one the NCAA actually ever cracks down on. So if they somehow overturn this, whether it's through the judges bullying them or some other case, and Sorsby is eligible to play at any point throughout the rest of his career, then at that point, you might as well just throw the entire rule book out and just make it a college football anarchy, because there's no rules at that point.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, unlike a lot of NCAA cases where they are saying, well, we wrote it down, so it's a rule, and there's, like, no fucking precedent to back them up outside of NCAA, there are plenty of precedent-setting cases that the NCAA can lean on here to support this. If you want a recent example, you can look at what was going on in the NBA with all those players getting cracked down for violations by the U.S. Grand Marshals and all that shit. You want to go a little further back, I think baseball knows very well about Pete Rose and the Black Sox. You know, like it's a pretty well-known rule in any sport. Don't bet on your own team. And in college, don't bet at all. It is not fucking hard to wrap your head around. I thought for a second you could bet in college, but unfortunately,
nope.
You had to correct me on that last week, and I felt stupid. But now I know, because I was educated.
To the best of us. Yeah.
Sometimes I got get educated by a fucker from Tennessee. So
not everybody's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we definitely are. Yet here we are.
To some degree.
Speaking of gambling.
Not yet.
Oh,
not yet. No, we got to wait until the middle of the show. But yes, very special thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring this here channel, both channels. Yeah, Money Talk Bullshit Walks. But thank you very much to them for sponsoring us. All right. First of all, got some more super chats to go through. First of all, Godus becoming an official member of Tardaria. Much appreciated, buddy. Thank you very much. Super Nuclear with the 2 says, update, I'm still very angry about Kentucky sports. When the hell haven't you been?
I was going to say, so nothing has changed.
Yeah. Sky's blue still. Shocker. Nathan Tucker with the 5 says, hey, Squid and Red, what are your thoughts on the Myles Garrett trade to the Rams earlier ago? Yeah, I got a text from one of my buddies I went to at the wedding that I went to a couple weeks ago. He actually just texted me. He was laughing because they made that trade, and I was like, if the Browns weren't already stupid enough, you trade Myles Garrett for Jared Verse. Yeah, I don't see it. I'm not sure I see it at all.
I made a comment to a Logical Canadian, friend of the channel, on my Discord earlier. By the way, go to my Discord and join me. Link on the channel. The whole tanking for player X bullshit is just when does it ever really work? Tank for Tua, tank for Burrow, tank for this, tank for that, tank for Darnold. I the only one of those I mentioned is probably Burrow, but he didn't win a Super Bowl with the Bengals, sadly. But the thing about it is, this is the Browns we're talking about here. The Cleveland Browns are the fucking Cleveland Browns. When do they ever do anything right? They drunkenly stumble into a playoff win once a generation. That's about it, at best. And they have more quarterbacks on the back of their jersey since Tim Couch than they do years since they came back to Cleveland after the fucking Browns left for Baltimore. So it's just another chapter in a franchise that shouldn't be getting a brand new football stadium outside of Cleveland. And the fact that they are means it's going to be the biggest, shiniest, most metallic toilet bowl this side of the Mississippi.
Well said. Hard to argue with any of those statements. And Rangav with the 10 says, shout out to college baseball. To say the regionals were drunk is an understatement. Big Ten baseball as a whole is a fraud. Well, they can't. Big Ten baseball can't be fraudulent if they were never there to begin with. They are not a baseball conference. This has been
really. I mean, I'll cheer for Ohio State baseball, but I don't have any expectations for them any year. Like, when was the last time Ohio State baseball was worth a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, we all know who the baseball schools are. It ain't changing anytime soon. Just forget. I don't even try to. Softball, it's a little better. But women's hockey at Ohio State, they are kicking some serious ass. Won a national title a couple years back, if I remember correctly. Hello.
There you go. And yeah, no, I'm checking in on the bracket right now. At least half of our schools from our conference are somewhat competent. Only half. I mean, Florida and Kentucky are getting the piss beat out of them right now. But hey, Texas moved on. Mississippi State moved on. Ole Miss, Georgia, yeah, Alabama too, Oklahoma too. All of them moved on. Crazy what can happen when you have basically your entire conference in the tournament. Stunning revelation there, I know. All right, well, on to our final news droplet of the day before we get into our Big Ten previews. So this is pretty interesting. There was a lot of coaching interviews that happened this past week. Most of them were about they'd be talking. All right.
Yeah, no. As soon as I heard you start talking about the coaching interviews, I knew exactly where the fuck this was going. There was some shit being slung in some of these interviews this past week that we cannot ignore.
No. Well, one specifically got my attention, got everybody's attention, and this is from the state of Texas, specifically the state of Texas. So start out with Texas Longhorns coach Steve Sarkisian. He took a shot at Texas Tech, and that's what started this entire shit show. And I'm not going to say the whole quote. There's too much to go over with that. But basically, he was saying, you know, there's teams outside of our conference. So talking about Texas Tech specifically, there's teams outside of our conference that play terrible schedules and go undefeated with them because they have terrible schedules and they'll make the playoffs with that. So, yeah, after that, Joey McGuire of Texas Tech had a big-time response to it. He offered to pay the buyout of the Abilene Christian game and the Texas State game both. And, that's those are the cupcakes that both of those teams play. And he said in quotations, "We would love to play the University of Texas in week 1." So Joey McGuire is heavily in support of both of these two schools playing. And us as the fans, we're definitely in support of that as well, because Texas and Texas Tech in week 1 would be absolute cinema.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Sark, you said all those words through the summer, or whatever you meant by it. You obviously were pointing somewhere towards Texas Tech's direction with it. I think you should play the game, because if you dodge this, that not only does that make you look like a liar because you're backing out of it, makes you look like a pansy ass too. So I don't know if he's going to do it, because think about it. Think about how bad that would be for Texas to play Texas Tech in week 1 and then the exact following week host Ohio State. Those are two probably top 10 teams you're playing on the first 2 games, and you're sacrificing your trademark SEC cupcake for the offer of that one of those top 10 teams. So I don't know what he's going to do. I think he's sort of talked himself into a hole. That's where I stand on that.
All bark, no bite. That's what I say about Sark. All bark, no bite. Like, here's the thing, guys. There's no bullshit here. It's not that difficult to reschedule a game for another opponent in college football. Literally, all you got to do is pay the buyout to the party that's not requesting the game to be canceled and say, here's your money, and schedule another team that doesn't have a game that day that needs one. It's only hard because usually when that happens, it's because some East Coast team had a hurricane hit its campus and their game got delayed, or they had to cancel it outright, and they're trying to find another one ASAP. It happened with a lot of ACC teams all the time, and some SEC teams too. But here's the thing. Texas Tech that would have been like the easiest payday. If Texas is actually confident they could beat Texas Tech, and Sark was fully on board with it, and they wanted to do game on. And I'm sure the smaller schools would have been happy to take another payday and play each other instead of getting their asses absolutely blasted by FBS opponents and potentially have one more win to make a bowl game this season. So, like, it would have been a win-win for everybody involved, and Texas is nothing but a bunch of fucking longhorned pussies because they wouldn't do it. Hell, I'm sure Texas Tech would have been like, yeah, we'll play you even on your own home field. We'll let you have the home game. But we want to beat your ass.
Yeah, realistically, this is more of a disadvantage for Texas Tech than it is Texas. They get the losing scenario regardless in this, and yet they're still taking the offer because Texas, they take this game, they can probably go 9-3 and still make the playoffs at that schedule because the playoff committee is going to look at that. Notice how it's the toughest in this. It's going to make Texas's schedule the toughest in the entire country by far.
Yeah.
So they would look at that and be like, oh, you have 3 losses. Well, we'll let you in the playoffs. With Texas Tech, Texas is by far the toughest team that they are going to play. I mean, to be fair, half of what Sark is saying isn't exactly wrong. Texas Tech does play an easy schedule. We saw that last year as well. But, you know, being called out like that, I would absolutely take him on the offer. But
we'll for fucking sure. Someone needs to have their mouth put in place.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's Gotis with the 2 says, can I eat red?
I don't know. I'll leave it up to chat.
And then Dumb Gamers, happy Pride Month, Red. I'm happy for you. All right. Gamers. Let's go ahead and move on. We got a lot to go over with these schedules because I completely forgot there's 18 teams from the Big Ten. Most of them are forgettable, as we all know. But
we could speed run a lot of them at the end because most of them are pretty forgettable.
Yeah, more than likely.
It's like you got the 4 teams up top, and then the 14 guys that are there to have a good time. Except for Purdue, they never have a good time.
Never. All right, well, I guess we'll get started. Who else? You guys know how we do this by now. If you were here for the last 3 streams, then you know basically how we do it is I take the standings from last year, and I just go in order. So number 1 in the Big Ten standings by a significant margin last year was, well, you see it right there, the Indiana Hoosiers.
Shocker.
Yeah. Shocker, I know. Kirk Cignetti led the Cinderella team all the way to the national championship, 16-0. Defending champions, getting ready for another season under Cignetti. And now we get to really see if it was really all sunshine and rainbows over at Indiana for those 2 years, or if they really, really, truly are the next up and rising program in the country. But I guess we're going to find that out in due time. A lot of new guys coming in from across the board. First of all, Josh Hoover put up a lot of numbers at TCU. Now he's the starting quarterback for the Hoosiers. Turbo Richard, pretty much the only top piece for Boston College, the one thing that made him somewhat competent. Well, now he's at Indiana as well. Along with that, Charlie Becker is returning for another year, which is a huge pickup for the Hoosiers. And Nick Marsh, through the transfer portal, came from Michigan State. So they took basically some of the top playmakers from teams across the land and added them onto their roster. A lot of their defensive pieces are returning as well. Also got some pickups through the portal. A.J. Harris to help out in the backfield, as well as Preston Zachman. So they definitely loaded up a lot on their secondary because I think that was one of their main concerns. They also took a lot of guys on the special teams as well. Pretty much an entirely brand new special teams with the exception of the kicker. So, yeah, they went to work. All right, well, let's go through their schedule. And, well, they start out with 3 gimmies. They're going to start out 3-0 regardless. I mean, Western Kentucky is the most competent opponent there, and that's really telling you something. North Texas, I mean, I don't know. Maybe North Texas. Just sort of depends on – I mean, they lost a lot. So
no, North Texas was drawn, hanged, and quartered. Or hung, drawn, and quartered during the offseason thanks to transfers, their coach getting plucked, and basically they relocated to Oklahoma State to play as the Cowboys next season. So forget it, they're fucked.
Yeah, a lot of gimmies on the schedule in the Big Ten for the Hoosiers. They have a lot of winnable games on here, but something worth noting, of course, is on the 17th and the 24th, that could tell the entire season if they're not careful. Ohio State at home in Bloomington. And then Michigan in Ann Arbor on the road and back-to-back weeks. That's going to be a spectacle right there. They also play Southern Cal late on in the season after a bye week, and then they go on the road to Seattle and play Washington. Then they, of course, end up the season with Purdue. So, Red, where do you stand on this for Indiana?
Well, they got a hell of a nice runway to get ready for that back half of the schedule because besides Ohio State and Michigan back-to-back weeks, which, again, fucking brutal. At least Ohio State, you're playing at home. You also got to worry about USC, which I know we shit on USC all the time on this channel, but they are still relevant for a reason. They barely keep their heads above water. And Washington, which slowly but surely is gaining strength year to year ever since their run a couple years back before they finished with the old Oak and shit bucket game. So, if I was the Hoosiers, I'd feel pretty damn good about everything up until about the October 17th. And then after the 24th, I would still feel pretty good. I'm personally going to be going to that game at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington on the 17th because, it's probably going to be one of the games of the season that decide everything. But if I had to guess right now, I'm not even going to try to make a guess because, again, we've all seen before that Curt Cignetti is a enigma. Google him, he wins, right? Like, it's that simple with Curt Cignetti. He is in a very unique position where he is a god, but he's also at his most vulnerable state. He's won it all, and now he's been tasked to do it again. That's something Indiana hasn't done a lot of, is lose. I feel like at some point this season they are definitely going to take a loss. I don't know if it's Ohio State. I don't know if it's Michigan. But it's going to be one of those two teams because I'm pretty sure they're not losing to USC at home. And probably I don't think the time zone difference is going to fuck them up that much against Washington. But you know what? Northwestern's there.
Great. 4-0 then. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. I think Indiana's got some tough games ahead of them. I'm not sure if they can run the gauntlet again. I don't think they're going to do what they did last year. You can't. It's really, really hard to win all of your games, especially 2 years in a row. So yeah, if I had to guess, I do think Indiana drops one. Whether it's Ohio State, Michigan, or some random team down the stretch, I don't know, but I do think they drop a game.
I mean, if they were to run the table again, that's 32-0 across 2 years. That would be rivaling, the longest winning streak in all of FBS in the modern era.
Not quite, but if they did it 3 years in a row, then right there.
It'd be getting there. It'd be getting there.
Taco says if North Texas still had the same team from last year, but a massively improved defense, this could have been a college game day possibility in week one. Well, no. If North Texas still had the same team from last year, it's coming nowhere close to Clemson, LSU.
Hell no.
No, nowhere close.
Nice try though.
Maybe top 5. I don't know.
If all right. Considered.
Yeah, it is somewhat. Yeah. All right, Red, I'm gonna let you do most of the yapping here, but up next in the second spot is your favorite Buckeyes of Ohio State. Returning a lot of talent, particularly on offense. First of all, Julian the Super Saiyan making a return. So is Bo Jackson. You guys are getting some big-time freshman starters, Brock Boyd and Chris Henry. I expect for that one of those guys to probably start. Jeremiah Smith's making a return. Sure. Yeah. Jeremiah Smith's making a return. Yeah, no doubt he's going to be a huge part of the offense. Brandon Ennis making a comeback. Nate Roberts. You guys have a lot of significant talent that's going to be entering their sophomore year. So it's going to be an intriguing season for Ohio State. You guys did reload on the defense, got a lot of transfers through the portal. John Walker and James Smith are two guys who I think are going to make a huge impact. But yeah, no, the schedule is a toughie. I'm going to say that this one is way more brutal than Indiana because, first of all, you're playing them, but you're also playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other ranked teams. Half of your schedule is ranked teams, which are going to be ranked in the preseason: Texas, Iowa, Southern Cal, Oregon, and Michigan, of course, at the end of the season. So, yeah, it's a really tough schedule. Red, tell us what you think, buddy. I'd love to know.
It's going to be interesting, that's for sure. This is going to be the hardest schedule we've had in quite some time. Usually, if you're looking at an Ohio State schedule, you get 4 cupcakes, and then you roll out the red carpet for Iowa most weeks. This is different. Obviously, it's only 3 cupcakes now, and then not really a cupcake anywhere here. Ball State, Texas, Kent State. You only got 2 cupcakes then. Well, 3 if you count Maryland. And then we got to go week 2 out to Austin to play Texas. That's going to suck. That's going to suck a fuck ton because Texas wants revenge. Arch Manning's that much better. He's got a whole year of maturity and a really good second half of the season last year under his belt. So it's not going to be the same team. That's going to be tough. If there's a game that I expect us to probably lose, it's going to be either them or Indiana. I'm not going to lie. Is Julian Sands going to improve over the offseason? And again, Chris Henry Jr., I saw him at the spring game. Dude was lighting it up. He looked really goddamn good. He looked like he had meshed in well with that Ohio State offense at the spring game. So I feel really strongly about having him step into that role that Carnell Tate had last year, since Tate's gone now. And I could see him starting week 1 and starting against Texas too. Just have to wait and see how things go there. That said, it's not just Texas and Indiana. You're right. We also got to deal with USC in LA. Number 1, the plane ride. Number 2, it's the Coliseum. And number 3, it's USC. So, like, that's going to be a tough environment regardless of how good or bad USC is this year. I'm hoping that fucking hack Lincoln Riley gets fired before then because they have a terrible season, but I doubt that happens. And then we got to come back home and play Oregon, which, I don't know if you know this or not, the Oregon Ducks, for some fucking reason, can win at the Horseshoe. Don't know why. Shouldn't happen, but it fucking happens, doesn't it? So that's going to happen. And then we get a cupcake in Northwestern coming to Ohio Stadium, poor bastards, Nebraska. And then we finish off beating that team up north. So it's going to be one of those years. I completely skipped over Iowa, but it's Iowa. They're always going to be a pain in the ass, especially in Iowa City. It's going to be tough. I hate this. And Illinois is not going to be a pushover either. But it's going to, if Ohio State goes 12-0, 11-1 with the schedule, they're number 1 in the nation. Genuinely. I feel like they would have the case because that would require them beating either Texas or Indiana when they're top of the list. Like, you know, I'd say that would do it.
Oh yeah, no. If you guys go 12-0 with the schedule, yeah, you're
even 11-1. Even 11-1, that would be they would have a strong case to get number 1 or at least number 2 in the nation.
Oh,
and no, Zepp, I'm not giving Lincoln Riley that much credit. He's still a fucking hack. Okay? He's still a piece of shit coach. He rode the coattails of Bob Stoops for years at Oklahoma before pulling up the stakes and going west. So, no, I don't think that he's going to be there when Ohio State comes to LA in late October. But hey, dumber shit's happened in Hollywood, right?
Yeah, hard to argue with that. But yeah, see, the thing is about Ohio State, and looking at this from not a fan perspective, yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. This is a brutal schedule, probably one of the most brutal in the country by far. Mm-hmm. Cannot argue with that. Here's where I stand on Ohio State in terms of just as a team in general. Their offense is going to be pretty good this year. They have a lot of talent returning. It's probably going to be better than it was last year. The defense, sorry to tell you, Red, it's not going to be. You guys lost so much talent for the NFL. I mean, you guys had what, like 5 or 6 dudes go in just the top 11 of of this year's NFL draft.
Yeah, and we lost to Miami in the fucking playoffs.
Yeah, no. Just because you're the most talented doesn't mean you can win them all. You believe me, I know how that goes. Coaching plays a big part in it. But, yeah, I mean, Matt Patricia has shown that he has somewhat competence when it comes to coaching defense. I'm just interested to see how his second year goes. And I'll say right now that I don't think he's going to have the number 1 defense again. A lot of Ohio State fans are going to probably, they're going to unsubscribe. Yeah, you should have seen how much shit I got on Twitter for my Jim Knowles comments. But anyway, that aside, I do think he's shown he has been better than Jim Knowles. I give him credit for that. But as it stands with Ohio State's schedule, I'm not confident they run the table on this. That Texas game at the beginning of the season could be very, very important because I have a hard time believing that you're not going to drop another game down the stretch or maybe even 2. And if you're sitting there at 9-3 at the end of the season, you could potentially be on the outside looking in if things don't line up in your favor. So
right. We don't have as much leeway there because, again, you look at the schedule. A loss to Texas, sure, as long as they're still good. Lost to Indiana, sure, as long as they're still good. Yeah. You had a loss to Oregon or USC or, God, forbid Michigan. It would make our playoff chances really, really shitty because we wouldn't have a conference championship to save us at that point.
Right. You guys still somewhat have a lot of benefit of the doubt though, because you're not Notre Dame. You've got a really tough schedule. So you drop 2 games, 3 games, you should be fine. Red's getting chewed out again. Taco with the 5 says, just remember Old Dominion threw hands with Indiana last season and lost, quote, close. They didn't really lose close, but they spent around a like a half full around with them, and then they got it back under control. North Texas could run it too. Just saying, yes, hit me with that fall. So yeah, it's not going to happen, buddy. They might play with you for a little bit. I mean, Georgia does the exact same thing. You should have seen what they do with Austin P. Georgia needed to pull away in the 4th quarter to beat Austin P. Does that mean they're a terrible team or on the level of Austin P? Nope, not at all. So yeah, I know, but I understand where you're coming from there. All right, next up here on the list. So we got through Indiana and Ohio State. Let's go with the team right below them. Made it all the way to the semifinals last year. The Oregon Ducks. Waddle, waddle.
Womp, womp.
Yeah. Well, Oregon had a pretty good year last season, 11-1. Only loss was a regular season loss to Indiana. Then they made the playoffs, made it all the way to the semifinals, and, got the spanking from Indiana again. So, safe to say that they...
You stink!
You lost him too. Yeah, anyway, the Duckies. So the good news for them, they do not have to play Indiana this year, but more good news is what they're bringing back in terms of talent. First of all, I don't think much people expected Dante Moore to make a return, but he has done just that entering his junior year, his 4th season in college. Dante Moore is coming back to play quarterback for the Duckies. He's also got some significant talent coming back to help him out. Jeremiah McClellan to carry him more. Evan Stewart is making a comeback as well going into his senior year. And they also got Iverson Hooks from UAB, which was a big-time playmaker with the old Dragon School. So the offense is probably going to be stronger, if not even better than it was last year. The defense, still a bit of a concern, but they did pick up some significant guys. The most significant, obviously, being the man from Minnesota, Coy Parrish. This dude was an absolute monster at safety with Minnesota. Now he's with the Ducks. And I expect him to make a huge impact for them. Also in the defensive backfield, Carl Williams, the 4th? Carl Williams, the 4th. But it's Carl Williams, as we call it, from Baylor. So another big pickup for them right there. Yeah, they also got some significant talent coming back. Bear Alexander, Mateo, he's coming back as well.
What the fuck? Did you have a stroke my way through saying
no,
that?
that's literally how you'd say it.
That's not how you literally say it, dude. Come on. You just pissed off like half a Samoa with that one.
Whatever. No, it's not whatever. I apologize, but yeah, I don't think he could do it either, so I don't know where he's coming from. And he's getting chewed out again. All right. So, looking at the schedule, a couple of things to take note of here is that Oregon has an easy route to 3-0 like a lot of teams do because they're non-con games. Boise State, when Boise State played the Ducks last, I remember they gave them quite a bit of trouble when they played against the Duckies. Now they're coming into Eugene, and I expect the Duckies to take care of business in that one. Then they play Oklahoma State on the road. This is going to be an intriguing one because you look at this and you're like, oh, Oregon's going to win that one by far. But Oklahoma State is reloaded in basically every part of their team. They're not the team that they were last year, and I mean that very, very literally because nobody from the last year's team is on this year's team for Oklahoma
That's
State.
already an improvement.
Yeah, very, very true. So some are actually going as far as to take the upset here, but I don't know if I can go that far.
Yeah, let's not be stupid.
Yeah, conference slate, though. I mean, it's easier than Ohio State's, but probably more on par with Indiana's. They do have some really tough opponents that they have to play down the stretch. First of all, they start out with Southern Cal on the road, and that is a tough one to start out with. But then after a bye, we could get some rest weeks, UCLA, Nebraska, then at Illinois and Northwestern. Should win all of those games. But then that last 4-game stretch, Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, and Washington, those are 3 ranked teams in that 4-game stretch. Could be trouble. Could very much be trouble, specifically the Ohio State and Michigan part, getting the same treatment that Indiana got, having to play those 2 teams back-to-back. Yeah, pretty tough. Red, where do you stand on that?
Number one, put some respect on Boise State's name. They've won 3 conference titles in a row. They're not an easy team to put away. I know it's an Autzen Stadium, but Jesus fucking Christ, Squid. Give them a little bit of respect. CBS is even airing the goddamn game, for God's sake. Come on.
They need to earn it. Let's see them earn it.
But in your respect, I'll remind everybody that they got pantsed by USF week 1 last year. Like, fucking destroyed. Like, everyone was stunned. Hell, I was stunned. So, we'll see what happens. Ball. Look, if you're Oregon, you're looking at the schedule, you're probably feeling pretty good, but you're also, like, there's no room for error either here. Like, you could lose to Ohio State and still make the playoffs. But if you lose to Ohio State and you lose to Michigan, and let's say you lose to the goddamn Huskies, sayonara, sucker. You don't have much else to prop you up. What, USC? Illinois? Fuck off. Oh, you beat Boise State. Well done. You got 3 losses. Fuck you. They got 2 OSUs on the schedule, says Bulldog, Mississippi. Well, be damned. They should have scheduled Oregon State. Could have done the trifecta.
Yeah, I know. That's a real big shame. We get that in 2020. What is it? 2028?
2028, yeah.
2028. Yeah.
Woo!
Woo!
Platypus.
All right. That's going to be
Oregon's nothing but
platypussies.
platypussies.
Damn. That's messed up. Yeah, no. But for where I stand on this, I think Oregon has a big time route to 10-2, maybe 11-1 if things line up in their favor. But they're gonna have to start out 4-0. I don't think there's any margin for error. You can't lose to like an Oklahoma State, USC. You can't lose either of those games. You need to be performing your best throughout most of, if not all, of the schedule.
Yeah, this is like a put up or shut up if you're the Ducks. So, just don't get shot.
Yeah, don't get shut up, as Red put it. Speaking of Southern Cal, that's who's actually next. Yeah, I know, believe it or not, USC actually finished 4th last year in the Big Ten standings.
Fuck you.
You wouldn't believe it, but they did. They actually finished out the season ranked, but they've got a long ways to go with a schedule like this one. So first of all, to take into account, Jaden Mayava is coming back for yet another year, entering his final year, senior year. Wayman Jordan is also making a return as the senior running back. So they got some big pieces coming back, and they didn't really. This is the thing. Lincoln Riley doesn't really load up all that much of the transfer pool. He doesn't use like a lot of other teams do. He only got like 5 or 6 transfers, and most of that was for depth. Like, for example, Terrell Anderson from NC State. Decent pickup right there for a wide receiver. Nothing too mind-blowing, but he's a pretty good wide receiver who he'll do some good stuff. Zacharias Williams, Tanuk Hines, they're also coming back as expected. They outperformed themselves in their freshman year. But they are coming back this year for Southern Cal. I think they're going to have a really good offensive line. I'm going to give them credit for that. They are going to have a great line. I'm worried about their tight end room. Apparently, they're going to be starting a true freshman in Mark Bowman. Good luck with that. And as you guys know, as per the usual with USC, their defense is always going to be. They're always going to be a liability. It's just the way it goes at this point. Now, how much of a liability? That's to be determined. They did pick up some transfers, Devin Bryant. They also got Alex Van Sumeren from Michigan State. So they did at least do a little bit of work to pick up some guys. Alex Graham's making a return. That's a big jump for them. But, yeah, no, again, it's always has been a liability for them. It's just if we're going to take Southern Cal seriously at any point, they've got to at least attempt to field the defense. And to be fair, they've been doing at least a little bit better. Still a liability, but they've been doing a little bit better. But as their schedule lines up, they've got what should be 4 easy wins before that Oregon game. San Jose State, then Fresno State on a Friday. The Raging Cajuns of Louisiana. They should win all 3 of those games. They got a really easy conference stretch. I'm going to say that for sure. And then they got Rutgers on the road. I'm not confident in Rutgers. Neither is Red, I'm sure. So you start out 4-0 heading into that Oregon game. That could potentially make it. That'll probably make it game of the week right there. That's college game day material. But after that, yeah, no, things just get really tough because then you also have to play what are going to probably be 2 more ranked teams in Washington, and then Penn State and Happy Valley. And who knows what Penn State's going to look like at that point in the season. Then after a bye week, you get Wisconsin on the road, Ohio State at home, but that's another tough opponent to play right there. Then another bye, so you get to rest for 2 weeks before you face off against Indiana in Bloomington. So pretty much USC is playing all of the Big Ten's top heavy hitters. This is a really tough schedule to go with. Red, where do you stand on that?
Genuinely, if they somehow fuck up and lose more than 3 games, Lincoln Riley definitely needs to be fired. Like, it's forgivable if you lose to Oregon. It's forgivable if you lose to Ohio State. It's forgivable if you lose to Indiana. If Lincoln Riley wants to keep his job, he's got to win everything else. And that's tough because, sure, you got Washington in your own backyard. Whoop-de-doo. And you got Penn State and Beaver Stadium. Fuck. Right? So you lose either of those games, shit, it's over, I'd say. Especially right before the bye week. By the way, why the fuck do they got 2 bye weeks and everybody else has like 1?
Because they play in week 0.
Oh, my bad. But
there are a lot more teams playing in week 0 this year.
Honestly, good. Week 0 just needs to be week 1, and we just make the season longer. But that's another discussion for another day.
Another discussion for another day. Well said.
Yeah.
You got
there's not much really I can add here to this. I mean, it is what it is. It's not the hardest schedule in the world. They should be able to just go like 10-2 and be fine, but at best. But like, shit, it's. I could see Lincoln Riley just absolutely shitting his pants somewhere in this thing and just losing everything like he usually does.
Probably, I mean, maybe so. Here's the thing about USC. This is going to be one where I'm not confident in them at all. And I always try, I'm kind of like a little bit more like Josh Pate. I always try and satisfy every fan base on here, but this is one where I'm going to stand true to where I stand on this. This is going to be an ugly year for USC. I'm not a believer in Southern Cal. I don't see them like going like 5-7 or anything like that. I think they've got talent, but I'm not confident in their defense. I don't think their offense is going to be strong enough to counteract people like Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana down the stretch. I also think they're probably going to drop a Penn State or a Washington or some other team down the road. Maybe if Wisconsin somehow becomes competent, nobody knows. But I'm thinking 7 or 8 wins for Southern Cal. Now, will that be enough to get Lincoln Riley canned? Doubt it. But I'm really not I'm not sold on Lincoln Riley and Southern Cal.
I mean, something's got to break there at some point, though. Like, something genuinely has to break at some point with this whole ordeal.
It'll be a while, I think. All right, now get ready to cue the stinger, cue the sound effect, Red. You know what team's coming next. All right, here they are. Bam.
I hate Michigan. I hate Michigan. I hate Michigan. I hate Michigan.
All right, that's it. Dishonor. Dishonor on your whole family. Make a note of this. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
All right. That's enough sound effects. Yeah, you're gonna have to take that button away from you if you keep acting up. All right.
What are you, my dad?
I don't know. Maybe.
Definitely not. I have like 10 years on you, dude.
I don't. Yeah, so you think. All right. Anyway.
So I know.
Yeah,
you look at this beard.
You don't know my age. All right. Well, anyway, so Michigan Wolverines. So we've got a lot to go over with Michigan, and I guess I'll start out by saying this: last year was an improvement for Michigan, at least to some degree. They ended up losing to Ohio State for the first time in 4 years. That pretty much screwed the entire season. Then they lost to Texas in the bowl game, but overall, it seemed like an improvement. Then chaos struck. Sharon Moore happens. The whole situation with that, he gets fired. Everybody around him gets canned. Now they've got a new head coach. And this was a big shocker, one of the biggest shockers of the offseason. Kyle Whittingham came out of retirement, shortest retirement in the history of retirements, maybe a week before he ended up going to Michigan. So now Kyle Whittingham, who had an overall very successful career with Utah, is now under the control of arguably a team and a program with a much higher ceiling. So it's going to be intriguing to witness for sure. First thing to take note of, Bryce Underwear, come back for another season. Jordan Marshall, come back for another season. Both freshman guys had pretty good years last season overall. Both of them are coming back. Zach Marshall, junior tight end. Big pickup for them right there. He's coming back as well. They went through, I will say this, wide receivers were somewhat of a problem with Michigan. and they managed to adapt to that. Got 2 guys out of the portal, and Jamie French out of Texas, and J.J. Buchanan out of Utah. Yeah, Kyle Whittingham took some guys with him from Utah to Michigan. Andrew Marsh making a return. He's pretty good. Also went to work on the defense. Chris Bracey coming in through the portal. John Henry Daly also coming through the portal. Now they even got Smith Snowden, also from Utah. So they did go to work through the portal, got some pretty good guys. Defensive playmakers are coming back. Michigan is an anomaly, though, because of a lot of those cases. Hell, I even think over on the offense, Savion Hitter might get some playing time because he was one of the top recruits going into last year. Who knows what he might do? Anyway, as for Michigan's schedule, so first thing to take note of, Oklahoma. You lost to them last year going on the road into Norman. Now they're coming into Ann Arbor. This is a big game for both teams, obviously so. But this is a game that has major playoff implications because I think both of these teams are sort of, while they're not major playoff teams, both of them are in the bubble for making it. So Oklahoma's a huge one. Iowa, also a big game down the stretch. If you manage to start out 4-0, then the rest of the schedule looks in your hands and potentially favorable. Because then after that, you've got Penn State after a bye week, Indiana. Both of those are going to be very tough. Oregon and Ohio State as well. Yeah, you're playing some heavy hitters from the Big Ten. Not escaping the tough stretch if you're Michigan. So, Red, throw the bias aside here. Tell us what you actually think about this schedule and where they stand.
I'm going to try really hard to not be biased. Okay.
Take a deep breath.
0-12, fuck you!
All right. Couldn't do it.
Nope, couldn't do it. Sorry. Unlike you, who was professional enough to at least give the Bulldogs credit, I refuse to respect that team up north. They made my life hell for 4 years straight. And until the day that the rivalry record shows that Ohio State has more wins against Michigan than they do against us, I will chant that solemn war cry.
I hate Michigan.
And fuck you, you Wolverines.
You're going to have to make that a sound effect at this point. But, yeah.
It is a sound effect. I might have to make it a t-shirt, you mean?
Yeah, whatever you want to do. Ignoring the obvious bias there. There is a path to the playoffs here for Michigan, which is a nightmare scenario, of course, for Red. So pour one out for him if that winds up being the case.
Yeah, honestly, though, I do want them to go 0-12 so that way the school can just collapse under its own grief and sadness.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. All right, General Miley. Shimanga, what?
He said, Tishmanga Biaka Patuka, Tishmanga Biaka Patuka, Tishmanga Biaka Patuka.
Go to the church and ask God to forgive you.
Which only means one thing. Every able-bodied patron in the whole ass bar needs to beat that fucker up. Go get him, boys.
Yeah, I'm not following, but thank you very much for the 5. I'm uncultured. There's obviously a joke here I'm not getting. This is like having to explain to Slap Shoes the porta potty incident. I'm not following. All right. Well, anyway, let's move on to some other yellow individuals, and we're talking about everyone.
Something?
What's that?
Are you hearing something?
Hearing what?
I'm hearing something in the background.
Yeah, what's that?
It sounds like commentary.
Oh yeah. What's it
Something
sound
happened. I think it's something on my end. If you're not doing anything, don't worry about it. I'll handle it.
like? I thought you were setting up for a joke. No. I was running with you there. I thought you were setting. I thought you were setting up for a joke.
No, genuinely, I'm hearing something, and I don't know why.
I thought you were going to say that's the sound of Iowa's offense. I was running with you on that one. Okay.
No.
Well, there you go. I made the joke on a whim there. You're welcome. All right. So Iowa, intriguing team last season. while they didn't have the best season overall, I think they finished like 8-4, 9-4, beat Vandy in a bowl game. They were competitive with everybody that they played, including the heaviest hitters of the conference. And that would include Indiana, Oregon. They were just a couple of plays away, a couple of defensive stands away, maybe just one in the case of like Indiana, of getting monstrous upsets over those teams. They just weren't able to close out those games. It's been a problem with Kirk Ferentz. It's been a continuing problem with Kirk Ferentz. But going into this year, bringing back quite a bit of talent. First of all, the quarterback situation, complete anomaly at this point. Hank Brown is coming back for another year. He's the most veteran player on the team. But a lot of people have got their eyes on Jeremy Hecklinski. He's got some potential with them as well. There's a lot of unknowns with exactly how that's going to go. But it's going to be an interesting battle for sure. Whether or not Ferentz calls the right pick there, yet to be determined. At this point, I think the dude is probably going to die there before he retires. I have no idea. But as it stands, that's the quarterback situation. Kamari Moulton making a comeback, and he was a huge, huge part of that offense last season, which is big news if you're the Iowa man. Also got some receivers through the portal. Evan James from Furman. Big pickup right there. And then Tony Diaz from Rio Grande Valley. University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. Yeah, big pickup for them right there. Reese Vanderzee making a comeback. So is Jarrett Buey. So they've got, or Buey. Jerry at Buey. My bad. I read that wrong. But yeah, no, believe it or not, Iowa has playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense, bringing back a lot of key pieces. Kenneth Merriweather is coming back. Bryce Hawthorne, Jaden Montgomery, Deshaun Lee. They got some guys. Also picked up Tyler Brown out of the portal from James Madison. A lot of people picked up people from James Madison, but that's good news if you're the Hawkeye, man. So, overall, well-rounded. Iowa is good enough, I think, to compete with some of these higher teams again. And here's where things get interesting. Because Iowa, unlike the other heavy hitters of this conference, is not held down by a significant strength of schedule. First of all, Iowa State, they get them in week 2, the Cyhawk series. You guys know how that goes. Iowa has yet to beat Iowa State in a while. But if there's ever a time to do it, it's been now. Iowa State had their entire team poached by Penn State. We're going to talk about them later. They have a better chance than any to get the jump on Iowa State. But yeah, no, they have a really, really tough stretch from September 26th through October 9th. Michigan on the road, Ohio State at home, and then Washington and Seattle. That's a tough stretch for them right there. They could go 0-3. They could go 3-0. Nobody really knows with Iowa. But what we do know is that's going to be where that is going to tell a tale about where Iowa's season is going to go. Because past that point, guess what they play? They play the old Big Ten West, and it is dog shit. It is a big fat load of ass. Those last 6 weeks. Iowa very well could potentially run the table. And if they, run the table in that stretch. And if they somehow manage to pull out a win with Michigan, Ohio State, or Washington, or win 2 of those games, they could be 10-2 or 11-1 and have an opportunity to play not just in the Big Ten championship, but also make the playoffs. But crazy. With Iowa, that is absolutely crazy. So, Red, what do you think?
The Hawkeyes are the Hawkeyes. If there's one thing we know for a fact, it's that the punter is going to get more field time than most defenses. All right, now that's just, we come to expect that with Iowa. But that said, you made a really good point here. The schedule is extremely forgiving if you're Iowa. If your offense can finally offense and is worth a flying fuck, you might actually be right. They could make a playoff run here. But, it's a big but, the offense literally has not been functional in about half a decade at minimum. So, it's like trying to revive a dead body that's now been skeletonized at this point, right? Like, it's technically not impossible, but do they have all the pieces in place there to do the full revival? With Kirk Ferentz at the helm, I'm going to say no. Not until he's gone do I think Iowa would ever have a real shot of winning a Big Ten championship, let alone making the playoffs. So that's my sense on it. Are they going to be a tough out? yeah, I mean they're not a pushover. It's Iowa, but these top dogs usually end up beating them at some point. So in Ohio State, playing in Kinnick's going to help them out a lot, for that matter. But I mean, yeah, I can still see them bullshitting their way to 9-3, 8-4, losing all the ranked games, maybe dropping a heartbreaker to Iowa State at some point early in the season, or maybe the Huskers get one on them before the end of the year. That's possible. I don't know. Or actually, no. I'm sorry. PJ Fleck's got to hit his 7-win quote at some point. Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it better than I could. So, I mean, I do think Iowa's got the potential to make the playoffs if things line up in their favor. That's where I stand on that.
Yeah.
All right.
They got potential. It's just unrealized potential, and I don't know if they have the tools to do it.
Right. All right. Real quick, got to go through some super chats. General Miley with a 2. Thank you very much. Well, thank you. Thank you for watching, and thank you for the support through your super chats. Very generous of you. Phoenix says to Red, I know you're busy, but will UMass Dynasty be back?
Yes, it will be back shortly. I'm going to try to get a few more weeks of that in before the College Football 27 comes out. We'll see if we actually make it. Just been very, very busy, like you mentioned. But it will be back soon. I just got to do a couple of things here. Maybe this weekend. We'll see.
Yeah. Phoenix also asked through a 2. Thank you very much. Says, also, is Northwestern's new stadium ready for this season? It isn't quite yet, but it will be. They announced October 2nd, their game against Penn State would be the debut of the new Ryan Field. So it will be featured this season, but not until halfway through once their conference slate gets to the Penn State game. So, yeah, we'll talk about that in a few here. All right, well, before we continue, very important that we do this as always. It's that time. Let's go ahead and take a moment to shout out our sponsor, me and Red sponsor, Prize Picks. Thank you very much for sponsoring both Red5478 and Squidtard Sports. Prize Picks, very, very, very good app for those who are interested in winning big off of player rosters, player lineups. Very, 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 very fun, very intriguing. Here's the lineup, a little outdated considering I made this one not that long ago, and I lost. But then again, I did play a lot of Daredevil on that one. But the payoff was really good, as you can see right there. I only played $20, and if all of those hit, I would have earned $500.
Go big or go home, right?
Right. Just unfortunately, my guy's going to come through for me. But hey, it could happen. It could happen this week. You never know. I'll have a new lineup ready for my next video.
Yeah, this thing is Prize Picks. It's so easy to play. Even Cletus could do it on Dixieland Destruction. That's for sure.
Yeehaw.
They don't say yeehaw, motherfucker. God damn.
I don't care what they say.
Do you even watch my channel?
Sometimes. I'm like a fair weather Red fan.
That's a new one.
Anyway, of course, thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring the channel. It's available in over 40 states, including Florida, Texas, California, Tennessee, and anywhere else that you can find it. If you get on now and play your first $5 lineup, you can get $50 instantly in lineups. Just make sure to use the promo code HMA to support our channels, and always play responsibly and safely. Thank you to Prize Picks. All right, let's get on to our next team here. Moving back over to the Pacific, we got to go over the Washington Huskies. So Washington, kind of like Michigan here, not to the extent of losing a coach, but they had some offseason drama go on very, very early in their offseason through Damon Williams and that whole fiasco. He hit the transfer portal, but he got caught with a contract that he's supposed to fulfill. So basically, he got pulled back in, and now supposedly he's 100% committed. I'm not buying it that he's 100% committed. So that's going to be interesting to see. But Jed Fish, that could be a head case for him if it winds up not going in his favor. As for who they're bringing back, well, they're bringing back some key pieces. Desmond Roebuck making a comeback. He had some potential last season. He's going to be a big impact for them. Christian Moss, through the transfer portal, got him out of Kennesaw State. Big pickup for them right there. Very, very underrated pickup, I would have to go and say. Also got Jaden Lamar from the Duckies. Didn't get much playing time, but he does have the potential to be something special. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. loaded up through the defense, got some key pieces there, making a return. Jacob Lane, Isaiah Ward, Zaire Alexander, Jacob Manu, Alex McLaughlin. They've got a lot of super seniors making a comeback, which is a big deal if you're Washington, because they might need a really good defense this season. I'm not really sure what to think about the Damon Williams fiasco, but that's when you have a quarterback, when you have a leader of the team that's not fully committed to your roster, that could cause for some problems. As for the schedule, well, here's the intriguing part about Washington's schedule. You know, they play the Apple Cup whenever they want to at this point, but this year they open with the Apple Cup on a Sunday. So that's going to be a very intriguing game and definitely could call for an upset if Washington isn't careful.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, tee. Down the stretch, though, they go into their conference slate. They get USC, Iowa. They open up with those two games. They got to go to Southern Cal. But their real conference opener is Minnesota on September 26th. Going down the stretch, they play Nebraska after their bye week in Lincoln. They also play Penn State right afterwards, Michigan State on the road, and then those last two games, Indiana at home and Oregon on the road. So like a lot of teams up here at the top, they do not dodge those heavy hitters. They've got to play through pretty much not all of them, but a whopping majority of them. I'm not really sold on Washington, if I have to be honest. I don't really know where they're going to be, but I don't think they're going to be better than they were last year. I don't think they're going to be too much worse, but this might be a rough stretch for them. Red, where do you stand on that?
I mean, honestly, dude, this season for Washington is going to be a challenge for them. I'm going to say that right now. Look, the opening with Washington State is by far a unique. It's a very unique circumstance to be playing this game on a Sunday, and you're opening the season. So I mean, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought over here. There's something going on, and it's kind of got my attention.
Yeah, you've been getting yelled at for the past 30 minutes. Are you okay over there?
I'm really okay, actually. Yeah, I'm definitely okay right now. Anyway, yeah, the point I'm trying to make is, in terms of the Huskies, God damn, I'm a mess right now. For the Huskies,
if you gotta go handle that, man, go handle it. I don't know what's going on out there.
No, it's fine. It's handled. Trust me, it's handled.
Very ominous.
Yeah. They're boom or bust. You mentioned the super seniors at the start of what you were saying. They're going to be boom or bust this year. Either they actually do pretty well and win 10 fucking games somehow, and the schedule they have is pretty favorable. The only games that are going to be tough is Indiana and Oregon, if you look at it. I mean, Penn State, you got to play them, but it's at home, right? Homecoming, too. USC, you got to play in LA, but Lincoln Riley, fuck you. Iowa, at least it's at home. There's a lot of potential here for Washington to make a huge impact, and they have been making steady strides. So as long as the bullshit with their quarterback is actually settled, I mean, 10 wins is in the wheelhouse, I feel like. If not, 7-5, 6-6.
Yeah, well, I mean, can't argue with that. That's your take, after all. I can't really go with a full-fledged prediction because it's not that time yet. We'll know a little bit more about all of these teams later on down the stretch. Well, he's getting chewed out again. Let's go to our next team, the Fighting Illini of Illinois. They're up next. So, Illinois, unlike a lot of teams in here who already have most of their roster coming back or bringing in key pieces, Illinois is a bit of a wild card because they've got some good guys coming back. Aiden Lardy and Khalil Valentine, who both had potential last season under Burt Bielema. Both of them are making a return, so that is a huge piece. I expect for them to be a little bit more of a running team, but there's no guarantee of that, as they also picked up a significant transfer out of the portal through Caden Hauser from East Carolina. And if you guys know anything about East Carolina, well, that guy right there turned him into a bit of a contender for a while. They were kind of running through a lot of their competition, but then they sort of lost it down the stretch. He could be he could be a big piece of this offense. Now, how big? That's yet to be determined. What we do know about Kaden Hauser is that he's going to make them he's going to make them very competent down the road. But they also got a lot of key pieces coming back on the wide receiver core. Hudson Clement, Colin Dixon. I don't know why I said Dickens. Colin Dixon, Alex Perry coming through the transfer portal from FIU. So significant pickup right there. As for the defense, they reloaded pretty much everything but their secondary. They got a bunch of new guys on the defensive front. Xavier Scott is making a return through the secondary. So is Juice Clark. Can't ask for anything better if you're talking about the Illinois secondary. So this team, I would argue, is probably better overall than they were last year. It's just how much better now that they've lost Luke Altmaier and replacing him with Hauser. That's yet to be determined. So as the schedule stands, UAB, Duke, Southern Illinois, UAB and Southern Illinois, those are both winnable games, very, very winnable games. Blue Devils, I don't know with the Blue Devils because they're a very intriguing team. We talked about them a couple of streams ago. This could be a win. This could be a loss. Yet to be determined. Not too important overall in the conference slate. But you go down that. Then you start out with Ohio State in the conference slate. Yeesh, that's bad. Also got Oregon after a bye week. Iowa down the stretch at the end of the season. But they also play a bunch of gimmies. Realistically, this looks like another 9-win season for the Fighting Illini. Red, what do you think?
I think you're right. I don't think Illinois is going to make any vast improvements on what they did the season prior or the season before that. But genuinely, yeah, I would say that right now with everything that they were able to do this offseason, the small adjustments they are able to make, I think they'll be able to hold serve at least. Not enough to get back the yellow buck from Ohio State, but it's still enough for them, I think, to have a nice, solid, respectable season. That said, they got to beat fucking Duke. If they don't beat the Dukies this time at their home field, shooby mama, that's it's gonna have some questions for the bulimia guy.
Some serious questions, I'd have to go and say right there.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of who's going to be favored. Considering that's in Champaign, it very well might be. It
better be. Like, if they're not favored going into a home game against the Blue Devils, like, what the
fuck? Who knows? Yeah. All right. First off, some more super chats. Sam Owen with the 2 says Wisconsin here. Wisconsin fan, presumably here. 8-5 bowl win and Fickle stays.
3 things. 1, you're delusional. 2, no. 3, possibly. 4, because I added a 4th. I didn't know the whole state of Wisconsin was here.
He's got to be living in a bunker somewhere so that the cops aren't getting to him, because I don't know what he's smoking, but it's got to be illegal.
He's smoking some of that fat Wisconsin grass, I think. But anyway.
Phoenix with the 2. Iowa's not a top 50 offense since 2018. Well, I'd argue that this is their best chance for said top 50 offense. If they can't do it past this point, it's probably best that Kirk Ferentz just retire. Genuine. That's where I stand on that.
He should have done that 3 years ago.
All right, coming up next here on the slate, everyone's favorite 7-5 Merchants, Minnesota.
Woo!
PJ Fleck back at it at the helm for yet another 7-5 season, presumably, or at least that's what we'd think. So Minnesota was a bit of an intriguing team last year. The thing about PJ Fleck is that he's a run-heavy coach. He's always been about trying to run the ball down your throat. Was not that way last year. Up-and-coming freshman, redshirt, Drake Lindsay sort of came out of nowhere and lit up opposing defenses at the start of the season. Now, eventually, Minnesota sort of fell off down the stretch. Their defense caved, and they ended up doing exactly as we all expected them to and went 7-5. However, Drake Lindsay, who showed that potential last season, come back for another year, and he's got some playmakers on that side of the ball as well. Jalen Smith making a return. So is Javon Tracy, Daniel Haynes. Also picking up both Noah Jennings from Cincinnati and Perry Thompson from Auburn, both out of the transfer portal as well. So to me, and by the way, Darius Taylor is also making a comeback. Minnesota could have like a top 5 offense in the Big Ten this year. They're going to be really good on offense, I think, because they've got a lot of stars coming back. Their offensive line, pending any injuries, which there's no guarantee that there won't be any injuries, but pending any serious injuries, they've got a loaded offensive line too. Overall, their offense is really good. The defense, Yeah, I don't know about that. We just mentioned Coy Parrish going to Oregon, so already that is a absolutely huge loss. They picked up Parker Knudsen out of Southwest Minnesota State to counter that. Well, also Kerry Brown is also making a comeback as well, so that is a good pickup for them. Aiden Galsby, he's coming back, but Parrish leaving, that is a huge loss on the defense. And regardless of however many guys they get through the portal to counteract that or to just load up on depth, there's no way that their defense is going to be the same without him. He brought that aura with him, and now that's gone. The defense might be a tough watch for Minnesota fans. All right, well, the schedule. Eastern Illinois and Akron, both of those should be wins. But in between that, Mississippi State coming into Minnesota. We talked about this when we did the SEC, but Minnesota is sort of going to be sort of a bottom feeder in the SEC. Maybe they have some potential. Their offense has some room to grow. But Jeff Lebby, this might be a big game for Jeff Lebby, and I don't think he's going to play much harder or get his guys ready to play harder than they're going to be for this game because it's a huge game for both of these schools, I think. So that could be a very, very tough one. Then after that, Washington on the road, Michigan at home. Both of those are going to be very tough games. Purdue and West Lafayette. I can't say that you'll lose to them, but if you're not careful, there's no guarantee that you won't. Off of a bye week, though, Iowa, Indiana on the road. I can't give you a chance against Indiana, but Iowa, maybe if they've fallen off a bit on offense, who knows? Because with Iowa, if they don't have a good offense, you could have the chance to get the jump on it. We'll see. UCLA, then Penn State on the road, Northwestern, and Wisconsin to end out the season. So you got some gimmies there. I don't know, Red. I think they're going to fulfill the prophecy again, potentially so. Go 7-5.
I think that there are now there are 3 guarantees in life for sure. Death, taxes, Minnesota 7-5. Like that is, it has been foretold that they will never be the cream of the crop of the Big Ten, but yet they will never go back to the depths that are the basement of the Big Ten. Perfectly average. Just like the state of Minnesota itself. So, no, I don't see anything different here. This schedule, it's not terrible. Worst thing you got to deal with is Indiana. Everything else is kind of, standard run-of-the-mill Minnesota schedule here. Every game seems to be winnable except for Indiana. I don't really have much to add here. It's Minnesota. Mid Minnesota.
Son of a Lane Kiffin. Did I misspeak? I meant to say Mississippi State will be a bottom feeder in the SEC, not Minnesota. My bad. But yeah, no, my point still stands on that.
Yeah, I was going to say Minnesota has officially joined the SEC, huh? Well, geography and conferences really is fucked.
Yeah, well, if Cal and Stanford can join the Atlantic Coast Conference, who's to say that Minnesota can't join the SEC, right?
Imagine Alabama having to be forced to play an away game in Minnesota in fucking November.
Different leagues.
Would Alabama fans travel for that? I don't think they have winter gear to begin with.
No, probably not. All right. Well, now it's time for everybody's favorite blue blood stuck in the 90s, talking about Nebraska. They're up next. So, Cornhuskers. Been a rough offseason for them. Been a rough second half of the season for them. They had a really strong start to 2025. Looked like they were going to be in the running for the Big Ten, and then the wheels fell off. Dylan Mahomes gets injured. The entire team crumbles from within. And then on top of that, Dylan Mahomes, also hits the portal, and now he's backing up Dante Moore at Oregon. As for who they got to counteract that, well, they went ahead and took Anthony Colandrea from UNLV. And Colandrea showed some upside while he was with the Rebels, and part of that could be contributed to Mr. Dan Development Mullen himself. Shout out to, of course, Development. Where's it? Here it is. Bam. Development. As always. So will he develop at Nebraska? Yet to be determined. As for who they're bringing in to help out him, well, Isaiah Hunter is making a comeback. Huge pickup for them. They went ahead and got Quasi Gilmer out of the portal from UCLA. He had some upside to him. Not really a necessarily huge pickup, but it's just somebody, some part to help out in the wide receiver depth, because that is desperately needed at Nebraska. the running back room, yet to be determined who's going to be the starting running back, but it could be either Mekhi Nelson or Isaiah Mosey. We don't know yet. Might be a dual running back thing. We don't know, but it'll be intriguing to watch. As for the defense, well, got some key pieces there. I mean, they got some guys. First of all, let me bring back the schedule. There it is. But I mean, they got some key guys through the transfer portal on the defense. Had to. There wasn't enough depth otherwise. So half of their guys they got through the portal, but Andrew Marshall's making a comeback. Rex Guthrie also come back for them. But yeah, no. Nebraska overall, it's going to take somebody, I think, to be well better than what you'd think, like Calandria or somebody else. Maybe somebody on the defense makes a huge impact, because when you look at this roster, it's not like nothing really sticks out to you. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. So luckily for them, though.
Sure.
Yeah. Luckily for them, though, as for where the schedule stands, the good news for them is that they don't have to play any sort of heavy hitter. They don't have to play any sort of heavy hitter up until October 10th. They get 5 sort of very winnable games. Ohio and Bowling Green. I know Bowling Green upset Georgia Tech a few years ago. I would take Nebraska to win that game, though. North Dakota.
Bowling Green does not have that in them right now.
Yeah, North Dakota, though, I'm not sure what to think about them. They were an extra point away from beating Kansas State last season. If you're not careful, that could be a problem, but I don't expect any sort of fall off there. I think Nebraska should be able to handle that. Michigan State on the road in East Lansing. I'm not confident in Michigan State this year. Maryland, I think, is going to be the worst team in the Big Ten this year. Should be able to win that game.
Ooh.
Yeah. Indiana, that's where things get really, really tough. The Hoosiers traveling into Nebraska. I can't give you much of a chance there. Same thing with Oregon on the road. Now you're going to have a little bit of that revenge factor going in your hand, because Dylan Mahomes is obviously going to be there. I think Nebraska should be red hot in that game, but will the effort be enough? I can't say for sure, especially since you're traveling to Eugene. After a bye week, though, then you play Washington, Illinois, Rutgers, Ohio State, and Iowa. Just an extremely brutal stretch to end out the season there. So, Red, I don't know what to think about Nebraska. What do you think?
First off, anytime you're fighting one of the Dakota schools, North, South Dakota State, or just North Dakota God help you. It's going to be tough no matter what you do. The teams that schedule them for their cupcake games are really looking to just piss off their players a little bit. As for the schedule itself, man, I mean, this is definitely going to be rough. Like you said, the first 5 games, yeah, they should win all of those. I don't see them losing any of those first 5, even without, a lot of the pieces they lost this offseason. But then after that, I think the only reason why they make bowl eligibility is because they have Rutgers on their schedule. Like, genuinely. Because you look at Indiana, Oregon, Washington, Ohio State, Iowa, these are all just rough, dude. So, yeah, they'll be just barely bowl eligible this year and be able to survive. But, like, good God, this is like a meat grinder for them.
Absolutely. Now, whatever happens with Matt Rule past that point, if they wound up going 6-6 or 5-7, I have no idea. But
they're not getting rid of Matt Rule. You can forget that. They're not. They just extended his ass. They're not getting rid of him.
Yeah, who am I kidding? Yeah, no, I've completely forgot about that. All right, Next up, another purple squad here. And we're talking about
Purple Squad.
Yeah, we're talking about Northwestern. Kind of been on the up and down as we expected. Northwestern's kind of this team that one year they do really, really good, and then one year they do absolutely terrible. Well, these last few years have been nothing but terrible for them. David Brown, he had a really good start to his career, but ever since it's just sort of it's been like mid, a little below mid. Haven't really done much of anything. Didn't do much of anything last year. Well, they reloaded through the transfer portal. Got some guys coming in. Specifically, a new transfer quarterback who's probably going to be their starter. And one of these fan bases is going to recognize this name, Aiden Giles, out of Michigan State. But that's not all. Another fan base is going to recognize this name, Nico Marchiol from West Virginia. Yeah, no, not
for a second there.
No. Nico Marchiol from West Virginia. That's a quarterback battle. It's going to be a quarterback battle of the legends right there. Now, as we mentioned with Northwestern, they're not going to be debuting their new field until halfway through the schedule, or at least until the conference stretch begins or gets to beginning. We'll just ignore that the Indiana game's there. But yeah, no. Aiden Childs or Markiel, whichever one's going to get the start there, they've got a tough stretch ahead of them. That's all I can really say for sure. In terms of their running back room, it's anywhere between Kalo Komalafi, who had some upsides last season, and then transfer Gavin Sawchuk. Went from Oklahoma, then he went to Florida State, had some good runs there, and then now he's with Northwestern. So, yeah, no. The wide receiver core, I mean, they've got a few guys returning, Griffin Wild, Drew Wagner. So some decent comebacks there, but, yeah, I'm not really seeing much of significance there. As for the defense, they did grab some more guys through the portal. Jamal Johnson, defensive end out of Central Florida. He could be a potentially great pickup for them, and probably the best guy that they've got specifically on the defense. Brandon Turner has also got some upsides. Robert Fitzgerald, obviously, Damon Walters. So, again, nothing that really strikes your eye as, oh, he's going to be an immediate playmaker. But overall, I think they loaded up just fine. Now, as for where the schedule stands, yikes. Yeah, it could be very troublesome. First of all, they start out with South Dakota State in week 1. They get to rest week 2 before facing off against the Fighting Deons in Colorado. I think whichever team loses this game, and it's in the neutral site in Evanston, but more the temporary stadium for Northwestern for the time being. But
wait, really?
Yeah, no. They don't debut Ryan Field until October 2nd.
Right. I figured they were going to be on the road, though.
No, this is technically a home game for them. But yeah, no, whichever team loses this game, they're in a really bad spot is all I can really say. That's no doubt about that. Then the conference slate starts week 4. Indiana Hoosiers in Bloomington. Yikes. Rough way to start out. Then they debut the new field, Ryan Field, with Penn State. Penn State could be on upset alert if they're not too careful. Then they get to rest in the middle of October with Ball State. Somewhat rest. I think they'll do fine with Ball State. Going down the stretch, they've got some really tough games. As always, they got to go to Oregon, got to go to Ohio State, to Minnesota. Knowing Northwestern, they're going to find a way to pull one of these games out of a hat and just find a way to win them. But it's not going to be all of them, nor is it going to be all but one, I imagine. So, to me, I don't know. I'm looking at 6 wins, maybe 5 for Northwestern. Red, what do you think?
I mean, this is a meat grinder just because of the fact that you got to play 11 straight. Like, god damn, that is absolutely terrible. I don't even care if you can call Ball State a glorified bye week all you want. It's still a MAC school, and you're still playing football against them. That is going to be. You could still have injuries. You're not going to rest all your starters because you're not going to get embarrassed against them, right? Like, you could even say the same thing. Okay, fine, you got Rutgers at home. What do you think you can do? I know it's Rutgers, but Jesus fucking Christ. Why would they do this to themselves? Like, genuinely, why? If you go 6-6, that's an accomplishment. Just on the mere shred of the fact that you got to deal with this schedule. And again, yeah, you open up the season against South Dakota State. It's still a Dakota school. Don't fuck with jackrabbits. Ranchers know this, and all of FCS knows this, as well as a few guys in FBS. I think Northwestern's got to learn something the hard way, guys. Not going to lie here. But on the bright side, you are playing a majority of your season at home, so, I mean, that's good, right? Technically.
Well, yeah, no, can't argue with that. Just at 2 different homes. Yeah. Just like how they have 2 tight ends. Crazy. What an anomaly. Yeah, they picked up 2 tight ends out of the transfer portal. Forgot to mention that.
Go to the church and ask God to forgive you.
Okay. Understandable. Okie dokie. Well, let's move on to everybody's favorite 2025 clown of the season. Yes, it's time for Penn State. Yes. Honk, honk.
You are total trash.
Well, they were total trash. And it's the same thing I said about Oklahoma State. Whatever joke, whatever running gag you had with that team last year, guess what? It no longer applies because this Penn State team is totally different from the one you saw last year in every facet of the planet. Every single player, with the exception of maybe a few linemen, maybe Andrew Replaya, the tight end, but Joe's even going to start. It's going to be Benjamin Brahmer, maybe a few defensive players. Everybody else that they got came in from Iowa State because, well, as you guys know, pretty much everything to do with the team from last year is no longer there. James Franklin went off to Virginia Tech, and most of the talent went to Blacksburg with him. Jim Knowles went to Tennessee, and a lot of the other talent went to Knoxville. So there's a lot of new things. And basically, at this point, would you just say they're the Penn State Cyclones?
Honestly.
Yeah, they are. A lot of the talent that they got came from Iowa State. Pretty much all the depth that they have came straight from the Cyclones.
First
Rocco
cyclone
Becht
to hit the state of Pennsylvania since Hurricane Sandy.
There you go. Rocco Becht, Carson Hansen, James Peoples, Keanu Williams, Caleb Bacon, Marcus Neal Jr., Jeremiah Cooper. I mean, the list goes on. They picked up all these guys from the portal. They were completely reloaded their roster from start to bottom. So going through their schedule. Well, I'm going to tell you this much, Red. I'm going to say this about Penn State's schedule. I think we owe Notre Dame an apology. Because what the hell is this? I'll tell you what, for trying to rebuild your program, there's not much better of a gift than this. They talk about Texas Tech's schedule being soft. Look at this garbage. This is probably one of the softest schedules I've ever seen. Just pathetically soft. Good enough to where you could basically sleepwalk to the 12-team playoff if you're half as competent as Penn State is. And let me be clear, I have to mention this every time I talk about soft schedules because Notre Dame fans are soft as shit. Because I call your schedule soft or I say your schedule sucks does not mean you suck. You can be a great team and have a terrible schedule. Look at him. His team has had terrible schedules in the past for years and years to come. But
fuck you.
That doesn't mean Ohio State's terrible. Obviously not. Indiana, they won the national championship, one of the worst schedules you've ever seen in your entire life. So I'm just going to throw that out there so that everybody knows those two things do not correlate to some degree. This is important for Penn State, though, because you look at who they play. Marshall, Temple, Buffalo, all wins through the non-con. Wisconsin, win. Northwestern, probably going to win that game. USC and Michigan, could see them dropping one or maybe both of those. Undetermined, but that's a tough one right there. But then after that, Purdue, probably winning that one. Washington, I don't know. Well, I'm a little low Washington, so I would consider that probably a win. Minnesota, win. Rutgers, win. Maryland, win. You're talking about 10-2 in your sleep. Like, that's more than good enough probably to make the playoffs, depending on how things go for you. Potentially make the Big Ten championship if you lose to the right people. Red, what do you think?
Yeah. At first, I was thinking, yeah, they're gonna do 8-4 at best. Before I saw the schedule, now looking at it, god damn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, genuinely, this is the first time in a while Penn State doesn't have to play Ohio State, and it shows because this is without a doubt the easiest fucking schedule in the entire Big Ten Conference. One of the easiest in the country. I mean, shit, the game against Temple might as well be a home game. You're playing in Pennsylvania still. It's just, yeah, if you lose more than 2 games, what the fuck are you doing? Seriously, what the fuck are you actually doing?
Matt Campbell energy right there. I mean, if anybody's going to find out how to blow this one, it would be Matt Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, the Penn State Cyclones, ladies and gentlemen, they bring a Big 12 soft schedule to the Big 10. Fucking hell.
Yeah. Well, to be fair to Penn State and their transfer portal roster, they're not the only ones who went that road because the next team on here did exactly that as well. And we're talking about the baby blue UCLA Bruins. Because boy, did they reload. Well, somebody doesn't like UCLA. Can't really.
No, I'm just tired of their bullshit, but get on with it.
Yeah, I can't really blame you for that. So we went through and talked about Deshaun Foster not that long ago. Turns out he doesn't know what he's doing as a head coach. He got canned immediately. Did not last long there. So they bring in Bob Chesney from James Madison, trying to go the Kirk Cignetti route, seeing if maybe if they pull out a coach from that school that he can bring him to a championship. Well, I'm going to say this. He's doing the right move to get them there because, well, just like Penn State, pretty much their entire team is brand new with the exception of, and I'm going to say this is something I never could have predicted last offseason, Nico Amadalevia actually stayed instead of bouncing and going to another school. I was convinced he was gone. Nope, he's actually sticking around. So is his brother. So Nico Amadalevia, he's going to have a brand new roster with him. First of all, they took Leland Smith and Landon Ellis, both in the portal. Landon Ellis, of course, from James Madison. We're going to see that being a continuous trend because a lot of James Madison players also went to UCLA, including Wayne Knight, who's going to be their starting running back this season. And he's actually pretty good. I could see the Bruins being a run-heavy team with a guy like that because he is. He's really good. Yeah. Also took a lot of guys on the defense, completely reloaded that as well. Maxwell Roy, Sahir West, Aiden Gobara. Yeah, they took a lot of guys out from the transfer portal, as you would expect. Pretty much their entire defense, with the exception of Cole Martin and Roderick Pleasant and Robert Stafford III. Yeah, no, pretty much everybody else. New guy from a new school. So UCLA is going to be an enigma because we have no idea what to expect from them. So going through their schedule, as easy as you could have imagined, they started out with what could be a very underrated out-of-conference game here, going on the road against Cal from the ACC. And you're thinking, oh, ACC versus Pac-12. Well, Pac-12. ACC, but like, a matchup like this, oh, there's probably a lot of distance between these two schools. Nope. They're both from the same state. So not a lot of traveling specifically, but UCLA does have to go to Berkeley. Going to be a good game. Going to be a very fun one to watch between two former Pac-12 opponents. San Diego State after that one. San Diego State now forming in the new Pac-12. That's going to be a spectacle right there. Purdue, the Soilermakers, starting out the conference slate. Very well could win that one. And then Maryland on the road. UCLA could start out 4-0 with a schedule like that. But then after that, get a week to rest off before traveling to Eugene to face off against the Duckies. That's going to be pain. Because then after that, that's when the schedule gets pretty tough down the stretch. You got Wisconsin, Michigan State. You do get a rest on Halloween with Nevada. I should expect you to win that one. Then Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, and USC. So you play some ranked teams down the stretch. Some of them look tougher than others. You also have some, really tough conference opponents. But you do host most of them. So I don't know. Red, what do you think?
Honestly, if UCLA is going to bounce back, this is the schedule that you want to see if you're a UCLA fan. The only tough games you have genuinely is Oregon, Michigan, and USC. That's really it. San Diego State could be a bit of a challenge. I mean, they have been a bit fickle over the last couple of seasons at times, but they've also been more than shit most of the time as well. So I would say this is extremely good if, your new head coach and this mostly James Madison team is anything worth a shit like they were last year to squeak into the playoffs. Yeah, 8 wins easily. You could make an argument for that. I was ready to completely dunk on the Bruins and say, fuck you, 0-12. No, I really can't say that. This is a favorable schedule. A few games might need to go their way, like against Minnesota and Illinois, but it's possible. It's not insane to say that it's possible.
Yeah, not impossible, but I'm not confident in 8 wins. I'm looking more at 6. I think they could definitely win those first 4, but then once they get into that conference slate, it's going to get tough. But I could definitely see them pulling out an upset or two. Not a serious upset. I wouldn't imagine they beat Michigan or USC or Oregon, but
the games against Wisconsin, Michigan State, and then Nevada, that's going to get them close. Then they would just have to flip an Illinois or a Minnesota win.
Right, it's not impossible. All right, first of all, Taco at the 5 says, Game 1 for the Cornhusker is going to be another West Virginia, Ohio bust like last season. Nebraska is caught lacking. This would have been fate if it was at Ohio. Damn. Oh, no. That's the last thing. That's the last thing Nebraska needs is more fate against them. They've already had enough of that. Taco with the 2. Oh, no, another game UCLA gets shut out by the Aztecs. It's not impossible. I want to bank on that though. I think their offense is going to be somewhat competent with their new running back at the helm. All right, coming up next. Now we're kind of scraping the bottom of the toilet here with everyone's favorite resident of said toilet, Rutgers. Scarlet Knights. Not really much to say about Rutgers. What I will say is that they're an anomaly overall about where they're going to stand in the Big Ten, whether or not they're going to be the worst team, maybe a little bit better than that, maybe a little bit better than that. What we can say is that, I mean, the quarterback battle is going to come down to A.J. Sturris and Dylan Lonergan, who hit the portal from Boston College and transferred to Rutgers. Wasn't good at Boston College. I don't expect him to be good at Rutgers either. He had some upsides to him, but a lot of that was due to Turbo. I'm not confident in seeing what Rutgers is bringing back. KJ Duff is making a comeback. Now, that is the only saving grace, I think, for Rutgers offense is that KJ Duff is coming back. And I think he needs to have a breakout season in order for Greg Schiano to keep his job rolling. Because I think now while he's not the hottest seat in the Big Ten, he's definitely getting there. Because they're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And they want to get to a spot where they're just consistently, at least making a bowl game. And they're not getting that. H1 Raymond and KJ Duff are going to be the guys that could potentially get them there, though. They did load up on the defensive transfers. First of all, Malachi Davis from Toledo. They're on the defensive front. They're on the edge. Could be a huge pickup for them right there if he winds up being what they'd hope. But, yeah, overall, there really isn't too much to go over with Rutgers. Looking at their schedule, first of all, very noticeable poverty program right there to start out. And, of course, Reds getting chewed out as soon as I mention their names. UMass. Yeah. Then after that, Lonergan faces his former team on the road at Boston College. That could be a really tough one because I could see Boston College being red hot for that game. The fans are going to be loud. No one is seeing their former quarterback as some sort of traitor. That could be really, really tough for Rutgers to get through there. Then after that, you face Southern Cal. Yeah, I'm not confident in that one either, even if it is in your home turf. Howard, the Bison. I would give you. I would give you the favor there. I think you can have a good shot there. Indiana, come on. Then after that, Maryland on the road. I think if Rutgers wants to go where they want to go this season, they're going to have to go 2 for 2 against Maryland and Northwestern. Both of those are road games, so that is going to be a very tough stretch for them. But if they can win those 2 games, then, if they're sitting there with 5 wins, then maybe they can grab an upset against a Wisconsin or a Nebraska or maybe a Michigan State at the end of the year and go 6-6 and make a bowl. That's what I would hope for them. All right, Red, what do you think?
Well, first off, shout out to the 0-12 UMass Minutemen, and specifically their running back, Brandon motherfucking Hood, because he is the mighty Hood, and as you saw in my dynasty, he was put through some severe pain.
28-3.
Fuck you. Okay, look. It's Rutgers, okay? Let's just call it how it is here. They are what they are. They're not great. They're not going to be great. They are going to maybe survive and get to 500 if they're lucky. You're playing UMass, that's going to be a win. Boston College, it's going to be a win. Come on. Howard, that's 3 wins right there off the bat. Maryland, that's 4 wins. It better fucking be 4 wins. If it's not, oh God. 5 wins if you count Michigan State, because that should be a win for them. They're just a little bit better than Sparty, I'd say. And then you got to find a 6th somewhere in this mess. It could be Wisconsin. It could be Northwestern. It could even be Nebraska. But then after that, you're fucked. So just it's cry into your sandwiches, Jersey. That's all I'm going to say.
Wah, wah, wah. All right, next up, again, reaching the bottom of the barrel here. We got some doo-doo stinky to go over.
We are like fist. Oh, dear God.
Yeah, there you go. Reaching real deep into the toilet now.
Right up the rectum.
Okay, well, the Wisconsin Badgers. And they don't call them the Gooders for this reason, because they have been bad, really, really bad under Luke Fickell. I'm surprised they've given him as long as a leash as they have. I know the schedule has been really, really tough. Last year's schedule is the number one toughest defense, or the toughest schedule in the country out there from Wisconsin. They had to fight basically everybody, and well, it was one of those schools that came out with the statement saying, "Yeah, look, we can't afford to fire him, so we're just going to keep him this year and hope and pray that this time it gets right." So he's been given some grace, probably the only grace he's going to get, because this time it's going to be hard. It's going to be much harder to mess up. First of all, the schedule is more favorable, by far more favorable, not even close.
Yeah, you don't have to play Alabama again. Thank God.
Well, that's for starters. Yeah, you don't have to play Alabama. But looking at their roster, first thing to take notice and account of is they got a new starting quarterback in Old Dominion's Colton Joseph. And he had some very big upsides to him. Now, I don't know if he's going to get the start. Deuce Adams is also in the quarterback room. But if you're going by experience, then yeah, Joseph should get the start. They also got Abu Sama, one of the only guys that didn't transfer to Penn State out of Iowa State. He went to Wisconsin to be their starting running back. So those are two huge pickups right off the rip. Got some brand new receivers, a lot of brand new defenders. Their secondary is pretty much completely different from what it was last season, with the exception of Matthew Jung. But they got Marvin Burks Jr., Eric Fletcher Jr., Bryce West. Those are just some of the guys that they brought in to help out with the defense. So, yeah, goes to show Wisconsin's serious this time. Now, how serious? That's to be determined week 1, when they got to go to the neutral site in Green Bay to face off against Notre Dame to start out the season.
Because Camp Randall apparently was too good for the golden fucking... I can't come up with anything there. Fuck you, Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's all we need. That's all that needs to be said, right? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Notre Dame, I don't think they'll win that game against... I don't think they're going to win that game against the Irish. But if they put up a somewhat respectable fight, that carries that momentum throughout the rest of their schedule, because everything after that is very, very winnable. Western Illinois and Eastern Michigan, obviously they're going to win both of those games. Penn State on the road, way less winnable, but they have a path if Penn State's caught lacking. Michigan State at home, very winnable game right there as well. After a bye, you go on the road to Pasadena to face off against UCLA, come back home against USC, Iowa on the road, then Rutgers, Maryland, Purdue, Minnesota. All winnable games right there in that last 4-game stretch. If Wisconsin and Luke Fickell are serious this time about wanting to get back to where they were before Luke Fickell, now's the time. This is that moment to me. Red, what's your stance on that?
Look, I mean, if Luke Fickell has a shot in hell of still being the coach in Wisconsin come December, there's no other ifs, ands, or buts. They got to make a bowl game this year at minimum. This is a schedule that is favorable, I say with quotations, because there's only 4 ranked opponents. You also got to deal with Minnesota at the end of the year. That's a rivalry game. Anything can fucking happen during that. And you do got to travel to the Rose Bowl to play UCLA. That can also be a problem. I'm not so worried, honestly, about the schedule, though. They just got to stay healthy. Like, one of the things that continuously fucks Wisconsin over is the injury bug. So if they can stay healthy, then this schedule is a lot more manageable and digestible. And 6 wins is well within sight, I believe. It's just, if their quarterback situation is not better, Fickell's on the first train out of Madison by October. I can promise you that right now.
I would have to agree with that. I think at that point they've just given him way too long of a leash. They just can't keep him. I know they're going to say they can't afford to fire him, but at that point you got no choice. All right, next up, again, reaching the very bottom here. Next up, Michigan State. Another awful season for Michigan State last year. So much so that they finally went through and canned Jonathan Smith. Now the hire they got in return was, I think, something nobody expected. And that was Pat Fitzgerald. Now, if y'all know anything about Pat Fitzgerald, then you know the reason he stopped coaching at Northwestern. He was there for a long time. He actually got fired, though, due to allegations about hazing. as Uncle Lou would call it. Shout out to him. The ding-a-ling car wash is what he call it. Yeah, no. Then they ended up canning him. But now he's back. A couple of years later, he has returned as the head coach of Michigan State. And no matter what you think of the guy and whatever his involvement was within said ding-a-ling car wash, you can admit this. He at least knows what he's doing. Otherwise, he never would have lasted as long at Northwestern as he did. So has he learned anything new since then about coaching? I mean, we don't know. I guess we'll have to see. He's got a roster which I think can somewhat compete. Picked up a lot of guys to the transfer portal. And first thing to take account of is that Aiden Childs is obviously no longer there. We talked about him just a few minutes ago. But they've got their up-and-coming quarterback, Alicio Milivojevic. That's going to be tough for the commentators to say, but I got it right the first time, I think. Yeah. They also picked up Cam Fancher from UCF. So it's going to be an interesting quarterback battle there because Fancher is by far the veteran of those quarterbacks. It's an unknown which one Fitzgerald is going to roll with, whether or not he wants to roll with the up-and-coming sophomore or stick with the super senior from the portal. Yet to be determined. As it stands with the wide receiver core, picked up a lot of new guys there as well. Frederick Moore and KK Smith, but also bringing back Krishawn McCray, Bryson Williams. So they've got some guys in the wide receiver core, but yeah, they lost Nick Marsh, and that by far is the biggest loss, I would have to say. By far more than Aiden Childs, I would go as far to say. So it's an unknown what their offense is going to look like. Could take a downward spiral. Their defense loaded up a lot of guys through the transfer portal, especially through the secondary. Tyron Chappelle, Charles Brantley, Michael Richard. So they did load up there at the bare minimum. Picked up a few more guys through the defensive line, but nothing that'll really shock you all that much. So as for their schedule, starting out, they got to face off against the Rockets of Toledo. Now, how much different is Holy Toledo going to look like once we get to that point? That's yet to be determined. It's on a Friday to open up week 1. Then after that, Eastern Michigan. If they start out 2-0, whether they start out 2-0 or not, they've got a really tough one in South Bend coming week 3. Then down the stretch, that's when their conference slate begins. Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois at home. That's going to be a tough one right there. Northwestern, UCLA on the road. All potentially winnable games for Michigan State, but does not mean they're going to win all of them. But they'll need to win a few of them if they want to have a shot at surviving, because then after that, they got to face 3 ranked teams in a row, Michigan, Washington, and Oregon. Then they finish out the season with, of course, the Scarlet Knights on the road. Red, what's your stance on this?
This is kind of one of those things where, I mean, you got to give it to Pat. He's got a tough job ahead of him. It's going to be a long, tough rebuild there in East Lansing. So I'm not going to put any stock in what they could do this season. I'm just going to look at what the fact is here, and that is that the schedule could be a fuck ton worse. It's not absolute, dumpster fire levels, but it's enough that's going to keep them humble. I mean, Toledo's not an easy team to put down. They're one of the top teams in the MAC, so that's hardly an easy opener there to start the year off. Got to play Notre Dame early on. That's going to be tough as well. They're probably thinking they were going to be a hell of a lot better before Notre Dame when they scheduled that thing with Notre Dame to begin with, like 10 years ago. After that, though, it's a lot of winnable shit. Like, Nebraska should be somewhat reasonable this year to handle. Wisconsin, it's a toss-up, but that should be fine. Northwestern, you're at home, so you got that. Rutgers, end of the year, got that. But it's going to be a slog. That November is definitely going to be just an absolute slog to get to Thanksgiving against Rutgers. That's Jesus Christ. I mean, you got Michigan and Ann Arbor. You got the Huskies. Even though you're at home, you still got the Huskies. And then the Ducks are coming for a visit. So
good luck with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Good fucking luck.
That's all I can really say. But I'm sure they're giving Fitzgerald a fine leash, considering they know for
they
most
have
people,
no choice.
It doesn't
Literally,
take a year to build a program.
Better than any other option they have had.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, next up here. I'm not going to take too long with this one. Maryland. I'm sorry. Maryland is ass. There's nothing I can say about Maryland that's going to make me change my mind on it, or anybody else can say that. Literally, I don't understand. So there was a reason that every single coach, stuck around or didn't stick around, got fired, maybe stayed, Mike Norvell, I'm a little surprised he's still at Florida State, for example. We talked about some coaches on here, which are surprised that we stuck around. I don't understand for the life of me why Mike Locksley is still the head coach of Maryland. I thought it was so bad last year that they had to fire him because they lost 8 games in a row, went exactly as they predicted. They can't win a game past September. Mike Locksley can't coach past September, and yet somehow, some way, he's still the head coach of Maryland. I know they're wanting to keep Malik Washington around, and that's why they're keeping him. But I think at this point, I mean, we've seen what he can do. He's a great quarterback, but he's got an incompetent head coach, incompetent coaching system. They're not going anywhere. I'm sorry. I don't care how many receivers that you get out of the portal. And they only got 2 of them with Chris Dorr Jr. and Abdul-Rahim Glading. I don't think either of those guys are pickups that are going to somehow take Maryland from incompetent coach to competent all of a sudden. It's not going to happen. Having all these transfers, which you don't even have that many, but having all these great transfers come in doesn't make your coaching staff any more smarter. It doesn't. It just means that they have the opportunity to be even more stupid than before. So I'm not confident in Maryland. I'm really not. Dejon Williams, I think, will be okay. Malik Washington is going to be fun to watch. I think he'll make some big plays out of nothing. I'm sorry. I'm not a believer in Maryland. And this schedule does them no favors either. They play Virginia Tech on September 19th. Like, if they beat Virginia Tech and start out 3-0, because they got UConn too. And to be honest, I think UConn probably beats them. I know UConn has got a head coaching situation of their own, but I'm pretty confident in UConn as well to beat them. But then you go down the SEC, you go down this conference stretch, and it's just an absolute monster for a team like Maryland. So, legitimately for the Turtles, I'm looking at maybe 2 wins, maybe 3. Maybe you beat Virginia Tech and UCLA. Oh, Maryland's back, and then they play Nebraska and fall off a cliff and die. Lose the rest of their games like they always do, and then Mike Locksley gets another year for absolutely no reason. Right? What do you think?
I mean, you pretty much have already summed it all. There's nothing I can add to this to make this any more of a shit show than it's going to be. Yeah, Maryland's going to have a good, solid, probably 2 weeks in September, and then October, Maryland comes early, and they'll probably go 2-10 this year. It's a disaster over there. Genuinely, it's an absolute shit show. I can see the point as to why they kept Locksley around. They can't fucking afford to pay the buyout. That's really the main reason why they kept him around, if I had to guess, because there's no reason why he should still be there. As soon as Talia Tagovailoa left Maryland, the good football left with him, just genuinely straight up. That was the only thing that team had. It was a one-trick pony, and now this is like a barn without a horse in the stable. It is well over there. You need to just clean house, get rid of everyone, tear it down to the fucking studs, and start from scratch. That's the only chance Maryland has of being any kind of relevant in modern Big Ten Conference football in the foreseeable future. And I'm saying foreseeable like 5 years from now. Because this team does not fucking have it. They just don't. The schedule doesn't even fucking matter. You might go 2-0 to start, but UConn, even though they lost their head coach, is a pain in the ass to deal with as it is. Virginia Tech has James Franklin now, so they're no longer going to be on upset alert here. I'm just...
Yeah,
you ever seen what happens when you run a turtle over with a steamroller? That's basically what you're going to get this season.
Yeah, Malik Washington at this point is quite literally, he's the Bugatti in a trailer park. It's like, I get it. You want to keep him, but I mean,
priorities, man, priorities.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where it gets him. Prove me wrong. If Maryland winds up being competent this year past the month of September, then I'll happily eat my crow any day of the week. I've never been right all the time, but we'll see. All right, well. Time for our bottom of the barrel.
Hang on.
Yep.
You got to get the clown music out for this one.
I wish you had a train sound effect.
Damn.
It was time for Thomas to leave, for he had seen everything. Okay.
Oh, you stink!
It is a catastrophe!
All right, Purdue. Soilermakers. Bad.
What can we add to this, bro? Like, genuinely, what can we add to this?
Well, I'll tell you something. I already told you. I think Maryland was going to be the worst team, and I'll stick by that. Purdue, to Purdue's credit, they, unlike Maryland, who is another bottom feeder, they did a lot of reloading through their roster. This is Barry Odom's second year. It's hard to do worse than he did last year, especially with what he's bringing back. First of all, Ryan Brown is making a return, and he had some upsides to him, and he's got 2 new running backs with Jarrett Gibson and Fama Boy coming from the portal. On top of that, completely brand new wide receiver core led by Jalen Hornsby from Syracuse and Xavier Townsend from Iowa State. Another rare scenario where an Iowa State player didn't go to Penn State. So they've got that going for them. They reloaded their entire offensive line, made out of transfers. They got John Slaughter out of the portal on the defense. Mr. Clark, that's literally his name, Mr. Clark. Also got Rodney Laura out of the portal, Elo Mendoza, Anthony Specca, Trey Moore, D. Newsome. Those are a lot of the guys on the defense that they brought in. Also bringing back C.J. Madden and Ian Jeffrey. So Purdue is bringing back some talent, and they're picking up a significant amount of talent through the portal. So to me, I feel like Purdue is one of those teams that could actually make a pretty significant jump forward. And 5-7 would be a significant jump forward. So, yeah, crazy. So looking at their schedule, Indiana State win. Indiana State's absolutely terrible. This has been known. Wake Forest, I mean, we talked about Wake Forest before. You know, they had a pretty good season last year. Could be one of those teams that winds up having, you know, another 8-win season. Could see Purdue competing in that one. Don't know if they'll win, but they've got Wake Forest at home, so who knows? Then UCLA on the road. Both of those games are winnable for the Soilermakers. I will say that. So if they start out 3-0, you know, that'll make them feel happy before they get absolutely eviscerated off the face of the earth by Notre Dame.
I don't know what September Maryland feels like.
Yeah. But then down the stretch, Illinois on the road, Minnesota at home, Washington at home. Past the UCLA game, everything else just looks quite a bit tougher, with the exception of Maryland, Wisconsin, both of those teams, of course. But yeah, no, past that stretch, it gets pretty brutal. So, Red, what do you think? But do you think Purdue's got like a big jump coming or what?
No. No, I think you're giving them way too much. Look, I saw them play in person, dude, against Indiana last year. It was like watching the Pittsburgh Steelers come out and assault a Pee-wee football team. It was that ugly. And yes, they're obviously a different team this year. And yes, I'm sure they have some players that are not awful. But the talent disparity between the Boilermakers and the rest of the Big Ten is the size of the goddamn Grand Canyon at this point. It is that bad. I agree with Zepp here on Twitch. Of all the teams we've seen so far, gentlemen, this is his lock for Power Four's worst of the worst. They are unbelievably far removed from the days of Drew Brees, and I cannot agree more. I don't have a way to polish a turd, dude. This is me trying to polish that turd, and I really don't feel like picking up shit. So I'm not even going to try. They're ass. This schedule is ass for them. You get one free win against Indiana State if you're actually paying attention when you walk in, and then you get your lights knocked out the rest of the goddamn season by literally everybody else, except maybe not Wisconsin. I don't know yet. Maryland, man, Maryland might be a win. We'll see.
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I want to take Zepp's word for it. I mean, he did.
Sorry, I hit the mic.
Yeah, I can tell. I wouldn't necessarily take Zepp's word for it, though. He did make a prediction that somehow Tennessee's defense this year is going to do worse than last year. We still got to find out the logistics of that bet, by the way, Zepp. What are we putting up, $100 on that? Yeah, no, he was serious about it, and I'm fully serious too. If that's what he wants to do. So,
honestly,
we'll have to figure that out before the season starts.
We do promote a prize picks after all. I guess we could do a little betting on the side as well. Why not? Who are we? Brendan Sorsby?
Well, that's why we aren't playing any ball.
Not anymore for me, at least.
Yeah, right.
Damn it.
Well, there you go, everybody. That is all of the Big Ten schedule previews. We will have. We're going to resurface these as we get closer and closer to the season. we're probably going to do like more emboldened predictions on all of these teams. But yeah, no, before anybody asks, no, we're not going through all the group of 5. So sorry. No, we're not.
No, why the fuck would we look at the team and be like, dead. Why is he here? What the fuck? Who invited you to the party? Drawn, hung, and quartered.
Now, we might, for next stream, if we've got time, we might look at Notre Dame's, since we didn't do that because they're not in a conference. Join a conference.
Why do we give Notre Dame special treatment, Squid? Why would we do that to God's golden crybabies?
To pass the time if we ain't got no more time left. They'd be like post FBS entertainment, basically.
Oh, you mean overtime? Speaking of overtime, this stream went well into overtime.
Yeah, that was expected. We had to go through 18 different teams, so yeah, that no big surprise there. Well, we're gonna go ahead and call it a night before Red gets chewed out again. Thank you all very much for tuning in, as always. Wonderful fan base here for both of our channels. Got some big projects in the making. Expect a new coaching experience video coming out this Wednesday. Yes, new coaching experience video. And then soon afterwards, got some other projects already in the making. So stay tuned for that in the distant future. Very, very distant future. Well, not as in immediate distant future. Very, very soon. Red, where do you stand? What about your Oklahoma video?
If you're either a sergeant or a captain, you saw the first little sneak clip of the Oklahoma video that's been done and dusted. And it is under full development now, slowly making progress through it. It's going to be great. Give me a couple more weeks at most. Jesus fucking Christ. Development!
That's true. He's also very consistent with it.
Yeah, but no, it's getting done. It'll be done in the next 2 weeks, I think. It'll be out on Patreon first, so I would recommend you go into the Patreon and becoming a member there for as low as $5 a month to get early access to that and future videos as well. And if you can't, no problem. I get it. Make sure you take breaks, Red. Dude, I just got done renovating my house and doing some other shit for 2 months. It's more than time for me to get back on the wagon and get a rolling.
Yep. Talking with the 2. Pack 8 schedule not worth reviewing for it. Nope. Nope.
Sorry, good.
Make the playoffs. Then we might have an argument for that.
Well, we can't say that because Boise State made the playoffs the year before last. It's not that.
But yeah, that's the Mountain West, so that don't
count. Whatever. Everybody's in a different everyone changes conferences like they change t-shirts these days. It's ridiculous.
Yep. See you in the Big Ten soon, Florida State. Right.
I hope not.
Maybe in 2033. Florida State will be leaving the ACC yesterday. So says the Florida State man.
Yep. Florida State versus Minnesota conference schedule coming to a fucking theater near you.
Woo! Be more horrifying than the Backrooms movie. Lord almighty.
No, that's the shit they don't show in the adult film theaters.
All right. Well, on that note, I got to go ahead and wrap this thing up. We're 10 minutes past. So, Red, thank you very much for being on here with me. As always, make sure y'all go hit him up and subscribe to his channel if you have not already. We're really looking forward to that Oklahoma video. You guys make sure to stay tuned for more future projects in the making. But until next time, we'll see you soon. And power to Tardaria.
Also, don't be talking shit about my tattoo. It's not even done yet. Good night, everybody.
Who even said whatever?
Somebody did. Somebody in the chat was like, it looks bad. I'm like, it's not even done. We'll finish it in September. See ya!